What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it for another video, and today we'll be doing a guide on the Crumbling Farum Azula. Essentially going to be a giant cyclone city, twister city, whatever you'd like to call it. But if you've already hit up the mountaintops of the giants east, and then hit the flame peak, hit the forge, then you'll be spawning just right here, and that's where the beginning of this guide's going to start from. Essentially, there's no other way to get into this city other than that. As far as I'm concerned, there is a way to get to this location right here from the Belfries over next to the Raeluk area, but there's nothing that connects that to the actual city of Azula, or Crumbling Farum Azula. But more than a few things to cover inside of this video, so let's get straight into it. And as soon as we spawn in, we'll be met with a, walkway in which we'll be entering this cyclone city. You notice there's quite a few dragons and one dead up in front of us. Well, that's going to be a growing trend throughout the area. We're going to be fighting more than a few dragons, and we don't have Torrent to help us out with this one. But just in front of us, as we finish off to the end of this, I don't even know what to call it, just walkway, we're going to be finding one of those smithing stones, and just off to the right, we'll be jumping down to our next location, which is going to put us in with the, or in line with the first of the lost graces that we'll find. Now, I'm not sure whether or not if you possibly fall here or die, you may just spawn right back where we started. But, you know, if you want to test that out, could easily appreciate it, man. But going forward, we're going to be facing off with a lot of these, half-dead dogs with swords. Some of them can be quite frustrating, but over to our left, we'll have another one of those old fangs. And just up ahead of us on the left, I believe, is where the lost grace is going to be. Also have a few more of these undead dogs. Some of them are going to be quite problematic for you. You'll see coming up forward. Over here on the right, we'll have another one of those consumables. Just don't jump out that window. Here it is. Over on our left, we'll have that first lost grace. Won't particularly be using it unless you die quite often. But up here ahead of us, we're going to have a dragon spawning just about halfway across. Over here in front of us, though, we've got another smithing stone. Over on our left, just a bit of open area, I guess. Couldn't find any secrets through it, but we'll keep pressing forward. And right about that next smithing stone, we've got the lightning dragon, the gravelstone dragon, whatever you'd like to call it. Best tip I can give for you in fighting any one of these, just stay underneath its legs. Just get right underneath it. Now, we'll be breathing that flame, and that flame is going to be pretty much close to a one-shotter, especially if you have lower health than me. You're going to want to avoid it. But for the most part, you really want to stick right underneath him. You want to dodge those attacks. And if you notice, if you get right underneath him as he starts breathing that flame, he's going to be stuck there for a moment, breathing that flame. We'll be able to hit those legs and that back tail fairly easy with a couple of those combos or whatever special ability you may have on your weapon as well. It's going to take some time to take these guys down, and trust me, there's going to be more than a few of them as we progress through here. Do avoid that fire damage as much as possible. Anytime he raises up off the ground, generally a good rule of thumb to kind of roll as much as you can, essentially. Generally, the timing of the rolls is always going to avoid that damage, but you may get hit here and there. But as you notice, fairly easy to kind of just keep running underneath those legs. Maintain that you're not taking too much damage. He just kind of swings behind you. All of his electric attacks are going out around him, not just beneath him. Probably the easiest dragon to fight in the game, in my opinion, especially when he's closed in this type of environment. It's probably the only reason it's a bit easier, but we'll get an ancient dragon smithing stone from him once we do kill him, and pretty much from the rest of them that we do kill later on. After I've done a few circle laps, over here on our right we'll have another consumable, and then we'll head straight up to the left, I believe. Going to be nothing to drop down on the right. I believe we'll also be another smithing stone on our left, and we'll be at our second lost grace location. Yeah, it took a bit of time on that one, but inside of this room we're going to have a couple of those more undead dogs, if you will. I don't believe this is one of them. That's going to be the dangerous one, but there'll be a smithing stone on top of that tombstone, or tomb. But over here on the outside ledge, we'll be able to jump up to the rooftop area of this location. I think this is the only way you can access this, but we will still be able to drop down to the lower portion just below us. We'll have a gravelstone on our left, and we'll have more than a few of those undead dogs in this area. I think they're undead dogs. They just look like they have more bone showing than skin. A little bit too much, you know, they got that, chronic wasting disease. if you know about that. That's pretty much what they've all got. Oh, we've got another one of those great groveworts, I believe. Great grave. Can't see it from right here on the Adobe player. But another one of those moments where you're just checking for one of those illusionary walls. Didn't find one in this area, sadly enough. Pretty much went to every single one of them. Felt like it would have been in one of those locations, but obviously each one of those walls faces towards the outside. You never know. Can never be too certain. But from that point, we'll be jumping down over here into the back area, up onto this walkway above, middle walkway, whatever you'd like to call it. But from that point, we'll be back where we started, and we'll essentially be able to head over to the left from this point, grab up another couple of those electric bolts or electric arrows. On the left side, we'll be able to clear out another one of those undead dogs, and out here on the far left, we'll have another one of those gold runes. Now, heading back this way, we're going to essentially go back to the same location that we were, but we'll start heading down the staircase. It's going to be a couple of items down here, and a few more of those undead dogs. Now, those guys, the undead dogs that do call in that lightning, be sure to avoid that damage at all costs. That is barely damaging, but we'll have another one of those prayer books here in the middle. But that red lightning is, it's something else when it comes to damage. But from this point, we'll be able to grab them with that Lost Grace location. We'll look over to the right, but we're not going to head over just yet. We're going to need to double back, as there's going to be a lift that we'll need to take down on the other side of this area, in the outside portion. From this point, there's going to be no loot out in this. Well, there's going to be one on the left. Did forget about this. We've got another one of those larger runes. Then we'll be taking the lift down, and we'll have, what do I call these enemy types? Squiggly face plague spitters, blight spitters, I think that's what it is. They're a nightmare if you've been through the outside area. Well, the outside area going into, I think it's like Atlas or Altus. I can't remember. Altus Plateau. Believe that's the area. Over here on our right, though, we will have another dragon fight. Got to be more than a few of these in this area, trust me. You can technically skip this if you're not really looking for those ancient dragon smithing stones. I believe the item that we'll get on the other side of this area as well is going to be another dragon smithing stone, but I think you will end up having to fight this dragon at a different location, or he'll start spitting some lightning out as you're going across a different location if you don't kill him here. Might be a good idea to get him down here, since you got a bit of a small space to constantly get underneath those legs, whereas the other option is dealing with him from range and just having to avoid his damage altogether. But shouldn't take him too long, or shouldn't take you too long to take him down, as long as you're sticking underneath those legs. But we'll also get another one of those smithing stones, and then we'll be doubling back to the location we just came from. Do be sure to make sure those jumps count, because that's a long fall down right there. But heading over here to the right, we'll have more of those squiggly face guys. Don't know what else to call them. They're irritating. That's what I know. Anytime I have to deal with that blight, you think the lizards were bad enough, but since these guys can deal damage at the same time as spitting out all of this blight, it just makes it all the more frustrating. But as you'll notice, they'll be able to spit it out. They will also be able to spit it out up and all around them as well. So there's maybe some moments when you aggro them that you may just need to back off for a moment, wait for that area to clear around, just to avoid that blight smoke as much as possible. But over here on the left, going to be another one of those somber smithing stones. Then you'll notice we have a very large squiggly face out there in the middle. He's going to be a tanky boy. He's going to be eating more than a few of your chops, and he's going to be throwing out a lot of that blight. So be aware of that as we come forward to it. But up here on the back left, we'll have another one of those crafting materials, dealing with another squiggly face guy. Luckily enough, we can make quick work of these smaller ones, not too difficult to deal with. It just can be irritating to deal with that blight all around them as they spit it out in front of you. Man, if you got more than one of them aggroing on you and they all start to spit at the same time, could be problematic. But we'll head up this ladder over here. There's going to be one enemy over here on top. We'll take care of him. Then we'll have another item to grab up. I believe it's another gold rune, but I could be wrong. It's going to be another smithing stone, actually. Now we can jump down over here to the right. I would highly suggest you do that, considering if we do take the ladder down, which is what I did, we're still going to have to go back up on top of the location that we just came from, that we dropped down from, essentially, since we can't cross immediately from this area. But if you did go down the ladder, this is going to be the way that we jump across. Sadly, there's no loot on those 2 stones that we would have jumped down to cross the area. I did later on jump down across those 2. Not going to be worth our while, though. Just going to be that quick shortcut if you did jump down from this ledge over to that ladder. But from this point, forgetting which way did I go. Don't believe there's going to be anything to the right, but from this point we'll be able to kind of cross along the right portion of this. I'm doing a lot of circling this gameplay. Don't know why I keep twirling. A little bit of a ballerina move, I suppose. Putting on a show. But you'll be able to aggro one of these at a time now, like I said before. Well, actually, I think the bigger boy, yep, well, they all did get aggroed. I believe as soon as he spits up, they get aggroed at the same time. Now, lucky enough, if you do have some of those, you may have to use some of those blight consumables to take off that blight, especially with the bigger boy. He's a tanky one. Very irritating, but just across from him, we will grab up, I believe, 2 of the blight consumables, so you won't have to craft those. You'll have those readily on hand. Anytime he gets a little bit more aggro, you get too much of that blight on you. He seems to be stacking it up a lot stronger with any time that he starts spitting it up, so you may need to go back to that, what to call it, that structure back there, that pole, pillar, that's the word I'm looking for, and consume one of those just to take it all off and then get back to swinging on him. Fairly easy to dodge his attacks, but at the same time he can grab you up and start to consume you, which, whew, if you've got low enough health, that's going to be the one-shot move right there. Lucky enough, after we take him out, that should be the only time that we have to deal with him, but we'll find a bell bearing just beyond him. At that gondola, not gondola, gazebo. I don't know why. Every single time I think it's just gondola. Unbelievable. I've probably done this every time I've had to say that in any one of these guides. Dyslexia, guys. It's just going to trip you up. But back there on the right, we're going to have another one of those gravel stones. And from this point, I believe that's all the loot from this location. We'll need to double back to that last Lost Grace. I believe that happens here in a moment. I think I did put that in there. After we've taken out this squiggly head. Trying to remember. We'll have a bit of walking here. You know, checking for secrets, checking if there's anything over there. Another person trolling on the ground right there every time. I swear, the amount of times people just waste their time riding on the ground. This is where it was. Yes, we'll need to head back to this. I forget the name of it, but you can see it right there. That's the location of the Lost Grace that we'll be traveling back to that we just grabbed before taking this lift down here. Man, I really did slow this one down. All right, let's speed it up a little bit. There we go. Hit the OK button. Let's move it on. Good Lord. But just beyond that Lost Grace, we'll find another one of those bell bearings, and we'll be able to start heading down towards this next broken area. We will revisit this area at a later location, but it'll be the upper portion of it that we can't get to just yet. Yeah. It'll look like a window that you can jump through, and the writing on the ground will definitely tell you that you're too fat for it. And it was definitely one of those moments where I did think to myself, maybe my suit's too fat for this. That's what happens when you wear the fat boy armor, but sadly enough, we cannot get in there. But I did have to check and see if there was any loot inside. Never can be too sure. Now, up here, we're going to start facing off with more than a few of the dog skeleton types. These aren't the half-dead, they're the full-dead. So you will have to finish them off as soon as they hit the ground. Otherwise, they'll keep reanimating. We've all had that moment before where we didn't exactly get that last swing, and that skeleton came back to bite us in that derriere. Very frustrating. But over here on the right, on this broken piece, we'll have another one of those somber smithing stones, and then we'll be able to jump across and start jumping downward. Now, I went back to double check over here on the left. Going to be nothing over here. Need to head over to that right and start jumping on down. Now, over on our left, going to be another couple of arrows that we can grab up from there. Now, from this portion, we'll head over to the left. We'll grab another somber smithing stone, and over on our left as well, going to be some more gravel stone. Now, this is going to be one of those bigger boy skeletons. They're going to breathe fire, and they're going to be able to swing quite hard. They may not be the hardest to take down, but they are going to be laying out some damage. It's going to be hard to stagger them unless you're dealing a whole lot of damage to them. Very frustrating, and that flame damage going to be extremely staggering and irritating when it comes to damage as well. We'll be facing off with more than a few of them, and some of them may be to your despair. But from that point, we'll start jumping over to the right. We'll have another one of those Lost Graces over here. And we'll head immediately over to the left, grabbing up another one of those larger golden runes. Now from that point, we'll be doubling back over to the right, and we'll be dealing with more than a few of these knights. You know, I thought I'd had the last laugh with these guys way earlier in the game. But they've come back to seek some more revenge for their fallen brethren. We'll have another smithing stone there on the right. Then inside of here, we've got more knights to deal with. Good Lord, I hate them. Especially when they got the shield. And when they've got those wind abilities that just stagger you and they push forward. God, it's just a frustrating mess. Every single time. All those special abilities that just make them seem like they're completely overpowered. You know, I've got the Bloodhound Fang, so I can skip forward a little bit and then dodge back. But feels like a lot of these enemy types have a straight-up teleport move that doesn't matter what range you're at, they'll immediately go over to wherever your location is. I'd like to have that extended ability with a Bloodhound Fang. But over here, all the way down that hallway, we'll have another one of those guards that we can sneak up on. He's going to be the dual wielder, so he's a bit easier to hit, but he will still be able to flail those blades quite well. But over just next to him is going to be another one of those stone sword keys. We'll have another guard coming out of nowhere that completely oblivious to us, even though there's quite a lot of sunlight coming on us. But we'll be able to get that sneak attack and finish him off fairly quickly. Now, just over to our left is going to be another one of those consumables right there, giving us that dragon ability to our weapon if we'd like to. Then we'll start heading back towards the location that we came from, and I believe we'll head over to the left. We'll be able to head down these, yes. And just over to our left, we'll have another knight sitting over here. Need to take him down fairly quickly. Get that sneak attack in them. You really want to get that damage in quickly. That way you could possibly stagger them down to their knees. Just make quick work of them. Now we'll have another knight over here with a shield. Oh, the painstaking frustration of these guys. Lucky enough, we have enough damage to deal with them fairly quickly, but we're still going to be eating a couple of shots here and there. Now just over here on the left, we're going to have another one of those golden runes. Now, don't go in that room just yet. There's going to be a double boss fight inside of there. We'll head over to the right from this point. Well, yeah, actually, you could have just walked in there. I forgot. We've already cleared the rest of the area. But essentially, both of these bosses are going to be sharing the same health bar. But both of them will have 2 singular health bars. So you're going to have to fight both of them. And then another one will come in possibly for just like a one-shot moment. Or at least that's what I had to deal with. We've got the Fat Boy Rolly... Stay Puft Marshmallow guy. That's correct. It'll basically be 25% of the health. Well, actually, we'll be fighting both of them all over again. But we'll get an Ash of War and a Bell Bearing off of them, as well as a Lost Grace in this location. Fairly easy to deal with them as long as you have the summons. Even without the summons, the biggest thing to worry about is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Boy, or Pillsbury Doughboy, if you will. Pillsbury Double Chubby Boy. He'll be doing his roll attack. But just over to the left outside of that room, we've got another Lost Grace, and we're going to need to double back to the location that we just came from with that first Lost Grace. And entering this area, we'll need to essentially go back to jump down to the lower port. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. That's frustrating. Do watch out for that knight. If you've sat down at the Lost Grace, they will be spawning back again. And they've got quite the push with that shield. But we'll be able to essentially run past more than a few of these knights. If you wanted to deal with them, grab those runes back up. I've already killed them once. I'm good. I'm done. But do be sure to make the jump over here. We will be going past that Lost Grace, and we'll need to jump over the staircase over here. There's more than a few items that we need to grab up from over here. And there will be a ton of those skeleton dogs that are extremely frustrating. But over here to our right is going to be another one of those golden runes. Do be sure to finish off those skeletons. They will be coming back to haunt you. Now, not just yet. We will be jumping over there to the right, but we have one more item to grab up over on our left, which is going to be another gold rune, I believe. Yep, correct. Then we'll be doubling back to jump over to our left over here. And we'll be heading up a ladder. There'll be more than a few skeletons at the top of this. Be sure to health pot before you get on top of here. There will be a bowman. Do be sure to finish him off. Almost forgot right there. But there'll be 2 more enemies in here as well after we grab this glowewort, this great glowewort. They'll be dropping down. Well, it's 3 actually. Do be sure to finish them off as well. Now, we'll need to jump over to our left in order to get back down, and then we'll be heading back into the direction where we came. You can jump across to the top portion. Oh, no. We do need to jump down to the lower portion. Completely forgot. Hopefully you haven't jumped already. My apologies. We will need to come down here because there will be a little bit of loot that we need to get from down here. Goodness, I am a ballerina this gameplay. We've got a rune arc over on our left. And then we'll need to head over to the right, and this is essentially going to tie back in with the location that we grabbed that Lost Grace off to the right of the double boss room. Be a couple more of those knights inside of here. I don't know what this twirling action is, but I keep doing it. Inside of here, we've got another one of those dual sword or dual wielding knights. Can be very frustrating, I'll tell you right now. And he is sliding across that room as quick as he can with both of those blades. There will be another knight coming in. Forgot about that. But we will get a summons for, I believe, the... I can't remember which one it is. I can't see. The picture is too small from right here. But I think it was the skeleton dogs. But just outside of that room, we'll have another one of those somber smithing stones. And then we'll be back at the location of that Lost Grace that we grabbed up just outside that double boss room. Essentially, it's pretty much the 2 different ways that you could have gotten at this location, but a fair bit of loot that we wanted to grab from both ways. From this location, I believe we'll head over to the right, and we'll be able to go down, straight down these stairs. There'll be some more of those undead dogs. Well, technically, are the skeletons undead? Yeah, I guess so. They're still full dead, in my opinion. They don't have any flesh on them. But we'll grab up that gold rune over on our right, and from this window on our left, we'll need to jump down. There'll be a couple of, well, essentially, some of those undead dogs over here. We'll have an old fang on our left for those crafting material. And just over to our right, on the outside edge of this, it's going to be a jump. You're going to need to run and jump on this one. But we'll grab up one of those larger runes from right there. Then we'll be able to jump over to our left. Now, I couldn't find any secrets off this pillar that's hanging off here. I'm not sure why it's there. It may be there to just troll you, but I was not going to take the chance of jumping over the possible side of it and the grand possibility that there may be an invisible bridge or something there. If you would like to take that leap of faith, by all means, but I was not willing to make that bet, and I thought to myself it's more than likely a troll. Just like the writing on the ground telling me that that was one of those moments where I needed to utilize one of the jesters. Did not work out for me. More than a few of those undead dogs around this corner, we will also pick up one of those consumables. Then we'll be doubling back, heading up the staircase over here on our left. But before that, we've got a smithing stone on our left. Be quite a few more of the undead dogs up on top of here. Now, we won't take that side ledge just yet, or that pillar going upward just yet. We've got another stone sword key room inside of here. We'll need to take down this guy as well, and then come around the right edge, I believe, or right hallway, essentially. Take down that slinging blade undead dog. And on here, over here to our left, we're going to have a lift inside of this stone sword key room. And we'll have a Lost Grace, lucky enough for us, because we will be dealing with quite a bit in this next area, more than a few of those full dead skeleton dogs. Some of these guys are very frustrating, especially in a pack. It won't be these guys. It's when you've got the 2 that are the bigger boy, heavier types. They are going to be frustrating, trust me. Goodness. And you'll be dealing with more than a few of them, but as soon as you take out these smaller fries, I mean, I think the hardest portion about dealing with these guys is essentially if you take one of them down, you know, you really want to make sure that you finish them off, and if the other one's sitting right there next to it, they've got the staggering swing power of that double-handed blade that is just going to stagger you out of that hit. But over here on our left, I believe we've got another, it's going to be that butterfly. And then over on our right, we'll be able to jump up on top of here. Over to our right, another smithing stone. Over to our left, in this tree, we'll have, I think, 3 of them that will be dropping down. And just to the right of that tree is another golden rune. We'll have another one of those bigger boy skeleton dogs. Ooh, I hate them. I do. I've had too many fights with these guys in this area, and I hate them every single time. And it gets worse when you've got all the smaller enemy types around him and you're trying to take them out and finish the bones on the ground. Oh, man. You want to talk about a combo game. Frustrating. From this location, won't be able to get in into that building. But over here on the left, I believe we'll have one item just next to one of these. We'll be able to push that guy out fairly easily. We'll grab another... losing my ability to speak right now. Another one of those smithing stones. And over in this gazebo pantheon area, we've got all sorts of pillars in this area. Could be called anything. We've got another one of those golden seeds over here. Telling you, it's a bit early in the morning. Losing my train of thought here. But over here on our left, we'll have another one of those scarabs. Now, if it does fall off, we'll still get the ability out of it, which is going to be another one of those faith-type builds. Or faith-type abilities. But we'll have another dragon over here. Now, not 100% certain whether or not you really need to kill this, but I believe this one will be dropping another one of those ancient dragon smithing stones. So if you're looking for more of those, trying to upgrade some more of those weapons, this could be something worth your while. Otherwise, it's just going to be some more runes collected and a bit of time that's going to be eaten up at the fact that we have to keep getting underneath those legs and really swinging away at those back legs. But, you know me, I'm taking out everything at least once. Beyond once. I don't really feel like going back for him, but I'll get my revenge if I do die to him. Actually, we'll be grabbing up some more gravel stone from him instead of an ancient dragon smithing stone, so my apologies if that's what you were going for. But there'll also be that somber smithing stone just below him that could be useful for you in fully upgrading that weapon. But from that point, we'll be doubling back, and we'll want to head over to the right. Well, actually, we'll want to keep going towards the lower portion of the ground. I believe there was one more item just below on the lower portion. That's going to be a consumable. You never know how many you might need. Could just be benefiting you going forward. There's many times where some of those items can come in quite handy when it comes to certain boss fights or certain enemy types. Now, we'll essentially be jumping over to our right. We've got another dragon to deal with, like I told you. They're going to be all over the place in this area. Now, you have to aggro this guy in order to get across to the next area, so you might as well finish him off. Now, I'm just going to assume there's another ancient dragon smithing stone out of this guy, but it may be another one of those moments where we just get some gravel stone. I can't quite remember. If you want to skip forward and find out whether or not it's worthwhile for you, but even if you did try to run, I feel like he'd be really hounding you. So you might as well just take him out right here. It's not going to take too much time, but it's still quite frustrating of how many we'll have to deal with and how common an enemy type he becomes in this area. But we'll be heading across there. Now, we've already been to that portion just below us that I was looking at, and we'll have another smithing stone over here on the left. We'll need to walk up this small pillar that's hanging across over here. I'm telling you, real life, I'd never be making these trips across these stones. Not worth it. Now, over here, we're going to have 2 more of those bigger boy skeleton dogs, so be aware of that as soon as you grab up that cookbook. They're both going to be hammering down on you. Pretty much either way that you do it, if you hit him while he's sleeping over there, they're pretty much both going to be, oh, God, I'm telling you, they're frustrating. The damage that they deal, the inability to stagger them is absolutely frustrating, and when they're both flame breathing you, it's going to be a powerful combo to be dealing some serious damage. Now, that'll be the location that we just came from. Like I said before, we'll be heading over to the higher portion of this area a little bit later. But we've grabbed up that goodness, I am really losing him right now. I've got a dry mouth. Somber smithing stone, and just below that, another smithing stone just right there. Now, from that location, we'll need to head back to the Lost Grace, which is going to be the Dragon Lift, I believe. And we'll be heading back towards that lift and then heading back down. You definitely don't want to have to go back through all of that mess. You might as well just head back along that Lost Grace. Then we'll be jumping up on top of that fallen pillar to our right, and then heading into the next area. Will be more than a few of those undead dogs as well. And over here on our left, another ancient dragon smithing stone. I tell you right now, every time that I see that orange glow, especially in this area, you know, I don't mind getting some of those higher quality crafting materials, but every time I just want it to be an item. I want a legendary item. You know, I've already maxed out this weapon. I just want more of those legendary items, and it kind of is disappointing when that happens. Now, just on this body over to our left, we'll have a lesser version. If you've already been through the Hallig Tree area, it's essentially just going to be a lesser version of the Dragon Shield that's going to reduce our physical damage taken. So it's almost useless if you've already been through that area, but if you've already come through this area before you hit that area, could be beneficial for you as a melee player. Or possibly even as a mage, if you're taking a good bit of physical damage here and there. Maybe you're in that combo of caster and melee at the same time. Could be beneficial. But from that point, we'll start heading up those stairs, grab up that consumable, and over on the left, another one of those undead dogs to take care of. Now, just before we head back up, we'll need to head back down and head over to our right. I believe in this, we meet an old foe. Good old Crucible Knight, and he's got all the bag of tricks that you don't want. This is going to be one of those that actually breathes that flame breath. He seems to have gotten stronger in this version of him, because as soon as we get him close to that half health, he just starts breathing fire everywhere, and it is absolutely frustrating. The range on it, I'm telling you, man, Crucible Knights, you know, people tell me about bosses and all these other enemy types. Every single time that Crucible Knight is my worst nightmare. Every time I see him, it's just a painstaking fight. And lucky enough, with as many times as that I've dealt with him, you know, he's become a bit more manageable, but it's still an irritating time. And that flame breath, the spitting rage that thing, I'll tell you right now. But after we've taken him out, now there will be another one coming up later on as well, so be aware of that. But we've got a nice little way to take care of him. But we'll also have another smithing stone on our right. Then we'll be able to jump over to our right and grab our next Lost Grace location. Now from here, we'll need to drop down, and we'll have another irritating enemy type to deal with. It's going to be the birds. You know, as a melee player, every single time I have to deal with any flying type enemy, you know, just out of range of my actual damage, every single time. Even though they're just one shot any time, they just fly right past it. Gotta love it. But from this point, we'll be able to jump over to our right. You'll notice a lot of that lightning ability right now. There's a dragon we're going to have to face off with. Again, should be fairly easy to avoid the lightning strikes themselves, though. I didn't even try to avoid them and for the entire time after, dealing with these birds. That was pretty much the most frustrating part of it. But over here on the right, another one of those crafting materials. Now, we can head back up the ladder, but there's no need to. I thought it was going to be leading to somewhere else. Just one of those whoopsie moments. Just another way to get down to the lower portion, I assume. Instead of jumping over to the right, or if you felt like maybe you'd jump down and possibly die, don't worry. You'll still be able to make it down. But there's going to be more than a few birds to deal with as we come across here, and then we'll finally be just upon that dragon. Now, just like every other dragon, we're going to want to go for those back legs, get up underneath him. That's going to be our best bet at avoiding all the damage. Now, for whatever reason, this guy was pretty much close to one shot. Don't know what that was all about. Don't know if that's how it's going to go for you, but that's how it was for me. I'd never been to this area before, so somehow he was already damaged. But over here on the right, another one of those somber ancient dragon smithing stones. Quite the mouthful right there. But from that location, we'll need to head over to our right. We'll be able to jump up on top of this walkway pillar area. It's going to be more than a few birds to deal with over here. And when I say more than a few, yeah, it's about 5 of them, I think. They'll be coming all across the top of these pillars, some just floating around in the area. But we'll also have another golden seed to grab up over here. By this point, I got to my maximum flask, I believe, from that last golden seed. So if you've been following these guides, you more than likely have gotten close to all of them. I think there's only a few areas that I did not cover where I've grabbed up a few golden seeds just yet. But we'll be getting to those areas a little bit later on. Now from this point, you'll notice we've got some floating rocks that we need to jump down just off to the left of that gazebo. And just down here, can't remember, I believe there's going to be a few more knights to deal with down here. Now it looks like it's a pretty steep fall, but don't worry, I'm not going to be taking any damage along these falls. And just over to our right, be sure that we're jumping over to our right from this location right here. You definitely don't want to make that leap just yet. That's an instant death right there, but now we'll be down here, and I believe as soon as we enter in here and on our left is going to be one of those knights. There's also going to be another one just behind him that'll be coming in. And for whatever reason, this knight also has flame breath, so be aware of that. Can be quite frustrating. But coming back, getting our revenge, we'll finally take down that knight with quick succession. Now there'll be another one coming up. Can't exactly sneak attack this one somehow, you know. Out of all the other times they've been extremely oblivious, he seemed to have noticed me right there. Quite strange, but that's how the way it goes. Another bird to deal with and another gold rune just outside of that room. We'll be heading up that ladder, and just up on top of here, we'll have a couple of rooms that we can't get inside of, but we'll also have a lift to deal with. Can't sneak up on this one guy. Lucky enough, we're able to push him over. But we'll be taking this lift up to the top. I can't remember specifically whether or not this lift was the one that we just passed that was on the lower portion of the ground or not. Negative. But we will be able to walk up to the right side. This is where we're going to face off against with that Crucible Knight again. So do be aware of that. He will be fighting with the undead dogs, though. So if you want to let him take them out, by all means, just let that take its hold of him. But with this Crucible Knight, I tried to sneak up and attack him. Didn't work out too well. You want to kite him back into the hallway that we just came in from. That way, as soon as he hits that halfway health mark, you'll see what happens as soon as he tries to sprout those wings and take a little leap of faith towards you. Straight over the edge. Sometimes you just get lucky. But if you keep making that or use that same strat, that could happen for you. Make it a bit more easy on your life on that moment. But from this location, we'll be able to head over to the right. There'll be an item that we can grab up over here, which is going to further increase our lightning. Greatly increase our lightning resistance. And from that location, we'll be able to drop down over to this section, which is essentially the same portion that we just came down from. But there'll be a couple more birds to deal with. Now from this location, we'll be heading back to where we fought with that dragon. You could just run past the birds if you wanted to, but they're pesky and they will be following for a little bit of a distance. Now over here on our left, we're going to have, I believe, a bit more of those undead dogs. But luckily, they're going to be sleeping. We'll be able to take them out pretty quickly. Grab them up before they can strike us. And do be aware of that one that does strike that lightning. That lightning can be quite devastating if it does hit you. But over here on our right, another one of those somber smithing stones. And then just beyond that, we'll be needing to walk across this pillar. Take out another one of those undead dogs. Now, there's a stronger undead dog in this room in the middle, just in front of that podium or whatever you would like to call it, little shelf. He's going to have a bit more health to him. He's similar to the white wolves, in my opinion, the ones that are the stronger of the pack. But as you'll notice, we've got more than a few undead dogs to deal with, and that lightning strike can be devastating anytime that it hits you. You'll notice it. He can't even see me, but yet he's got a target lock on me. But we'll get a bell bearing just in front of that little vase over there. And from this point, We'll need to take the lift up and then grab the Lost Grace just outside of here, but we'll be doubling back down the lift as there is a secret boss that we need to face off with that we just walked by. Essentially, back here, beyond all those undead dogs, over here on the left, we're going to need to jump down to some of these rocks, which is going to lead us down to this broken platform, probably been broken wall, broken floor. Don't exactly know what to even call it, but we'll need to lay down on top of this. We've got a secret dragon right here, which is going to be very similar to that dragon from Godzilla, in my opinion. Now, he's going to have all the lightning abilities. He's quite slow, so we will be able to get up behind him, but he's going to have that strong lightning strike all around him. He will be able to breathe his flame breath behind him. It's more than a few tricks with this boss right here, but essentially your best bet's going to keep, or to be constantly moving towards that back end of him, trying to tag his back legs, just constantly keep running closer to him. Try to avoid the flame breath when he does it behind him. You'll notice that head turning around to the side of him when he does it. You'll also have some quite large electric abilities that he can shoot out around him, but you'll get that noticeable cue of that hue of waves of red coming up just behind him, and then you'll be able to push back in. And do avoid that tail sweep attack. But in some of those moments when he is just calling down that lightning, you should have a brief moment. Now, he will dissipate into the sky, and then you'll notice you'll have to look around for that dark cloud around him because he's going to charge in, kind of similar to the way with Radahn. Arguably, this is my, I'd almost put this right up there with the Radahn fight, one of my favorite ones. I just prefer the character of Radahn, whereas we don't have much backstory with this dragon. But next thing you know, as soon as we get him below half health, he's got a lightning flame supercharged ability coming out of him. So be aware of that. It's going to be some hefty damage whenever he does that, and it looks super cool. I love it every single time, but he will do it just about every time that he's shooting the flames out in certain moments. Now, he will be disappearing again, then you'll see him, and then you'll be able to dodge that cued time with those electric claws that he spits out to avoid that fire when he's looking behind him. But he'll do more than a few disappearing acts where he's starting to try and strike. Just get ready for that moment when he reappears, starts striking with those electric claws. But in that moment, when he does start to choose the lightning, he may disappear. Now he's about to do that supercharged lightning ability. Whew, man, I'll tell you, if you've got low health bar, low vitality, I can't remember what the stat was, that hit might one strike you. Now, we lucky enough did get a stronger lightning resistance ability. Might be something you want to throw on before this fight. Probably a bit late for that, but if you did die to him without having that on, might be something to throw on. Don't know whether or not that flame, or once he starts shooting it as a laser beam, whether or not it's actually lightning, but that could help you in that fight. But after we're done with that, we'll grab up that remembrance from him, and then we'll head back to that Lost Grace that we just grabbed up. I've shown it just before then, but as we get to this walkway going up, we'll need to head over to the left first. There's a couple of items that we need to grab that could be beneficial for you for this boss fight coming up for you. There's one that kind of dissipates the ability that this boss can apply to you. One unique item, essentially. And over here, there'll be a couple of dead dogs, but there's also one that's a bit of a decoy. He's just laying over there to the right. But then we'll head down that ladder, and we're going to have one of those NPC invader moments just at the very end of this location, just letting you know beforehand. He's got quite the hammer with him. He's a bit quick for a heavy-handed one, but we'll also have two of those bigger boy undead dogs in here as well that we'll be having to face off with at the same time as this guy. So you kind of want to make quick work of those guys. Don't get trapped in the corner by him. Good, that's very frustrating. But you want to try and make quick work out of those undead dogs and then focus on the guy. Generally fairly easy to avoid this guy's damage, but like I said, he is quite quick, but we can stagger him quite easily. So we should be able to make decent work of him, but he'll be able to recover from those staggers quite easily as well. He'll just be swinging side to side with that hammer of his. But we will get that weapon off of him once we kill him. After, it may take a little bit of time, like I told you. Now that is going to be also the item that we grab up that's going to help us with that ability from the boss coming up. But we'll also get that hammer and his full armor suit. The armor suit isn't exactly something I'd say is beneficial. It's more of a cosmetic, but his colossal hammer or giant hammer is going to have the fire ability with it, and that's going to be the Blasphemous Claw, which will take off the ability that this next boss can deal to us. We'll also get a talisman out of this that is actually going to increase the effect of some of those spells that you may be able to apply to certain enemies. Could be beneficial for some of those casters out there. I believe it may be the duration. Maybe if there's a spell to put somebody to sleep. I haven't really messed around with any of the spells just yet. I'll be doing that on a second playthrough, just kind of making a caster, seeing what the magic's all about. I've heard it's very OP. But just up ahead, we will have a very similar enemy type that is a little bit less than the boss that we fought just outside of the trying to remember the Lindale capital, just before we entered the capital city itself. This would have been the guy that we faced off with. He will have the flame breath from his horse that he'll be able to spit out. Sometimes he'll just spam it at you until you get close enough to strike him, but he will have the same shield and hammer and the same electric ability as he did previously. Just a little bit less of a health bar before we enter this boss fight. But as soon as we do kill him one time, we're essentially not going to have to deal with him again. But like I said before, he sometimes just likes to spam that thing until you get close enough. You pretty much want to keep kind of going out a little bit of a distance, then closing in. You want to go over to the left side. His hammer swing is very easy to dodge. You'll notice it before it starts coming down. Now, it may have a little bit of a AoE effect when he has the lightning ability charged to it, so be aware of that. Yeah, as you'll notice, it's got a wide radius to it. Very frustrating. But it's still going to be an easier time to go over to the left side of him than the side of the shield, as he will be able to push out, move with his shield. Very similar to the guy we first faced off at the very beginning of the game. Every time you were on that shield side, he would push over. The armor he gives you, it's alright. It's not exactly the greatest. Fat Boy armor is still doing better for me, but could be beneficial for you, but no increase to any of the base attributes from that armor. Now, with this boss fight, he's going to be a quick one in certain moments. After we get him into his second phase, he'll essentially have a couple of moves that we'll need to deal with. He'll be slashing with his left hand, and then he'll be able to throw some spikes, and he'll also be able to throw a rock at us as well. Should be pretty easy to dodge his moves in the first half, but once we get him to the second half, it's a whole different ball game. He gets a lot quicker, a lot more range to a lot of his attacks, and he will have a debuff ability where he'll actually be able to essentially lower our maximum health. So if you already have low maximum health, you don't have much put into your stats for health, this is going to be a boss fight where you may want to apply that what is it, the claw that we just grabbed up into your hotkeys. Be ready to use that in order to take it off. I didn't have to use it. You know, I've got a much larger health bar. I essentially was just kind of just base tanking it as much as possible, trying to avoid a lot of his attacks. Now, those pillars are not going to save you when it comes to certain attacks. He will be able to attack around it or through it, essentially. So be aware of that. You do want to avoid any time he does slam into the ground, put that knife straight into the ground. He will do that larger radius explosion around that just after. But if you're able to dodge most of his attacks, I'd argue it may be better for you to roll straight into him, but sometimes use that pillar to your advantage. But getting up underneath him seems to be probably one of the better strats until he slams down in that moment right there. But avoiding some of his attacks, just pushing in close to him, you'll notice there's that breathing room just underneath him. That's going to be the sweet spot for you to deal some damage. And the pillar is going to be beneficial only for the moment when he's kind of slinging that what looks like a blood loss ability, but it's not going to be the same one. Now, this did take me a couple of tries to get him done or down and quick like that, so, you know, by all means, you may end up having to run this a few times, especially if you're not using a summons. Obviously, my summons died fairly quickly. More than likely, your summons is going to die fairly quickly, but it may be beneficial to use him in the beginning just to get him to that second phase a lot quicker. Now that's going to be the Crumbling City guide right there, guys. Now, right after you defeat the boss, you will be teleported to the Lindale capital. I didn't want to spoil anything, just letting you know that's what's going to happen from that point. Things will be a bit different once you get there, and we'll essentially be at the very, very end game portion. Now, I'm not 100% certain, but I think it's one of those moments where if you wanted to change up the ending, you may have the ability to take those routes at that moment, possibly go somewhere else, finish out the Ronnie quest line. There's some other, you may need to look it up because I definitely don't want to spoil anything for you, but if you're looking to just finish it, get a different ending on a different run, then you'll be at the point where you're ready to push in towards that final boss just after you teleport after this boss fight, essentially. But that's going to be the Crumbling City. Can't even remember the name of it. Azula, I believe, was at the end of it. Hopefully this helped you out. Hopefully this boss doesn't give you too much trouble. I think they may have nerfed it in a way. I remember seeing some other gameplay of other people fighting this guy after I had already beat him, where he had some different abilities. One that was very similar to the Millennia ability, where he had a 360 radius attack. Maybe I finished him off quick enough before he pulled that out. Not 100% certain. But as you notice, I definitely did have more than a few times to run through with this guy. But on that note, hopefully you've enjoyed this, guys. If you'd like to check out some of this content live, hit that link down in the description. Follow me up over at Twitch. And if you'd like to see more of this content later on, I'll be doing a lot more when it comes to these guides. We've got more than a few areas to cover. And if you'd like that, or if you'd like to see more of that, hit that subscribe button. And hopefully you enjoyed this, and have a good one.